1. Muhammad Ali vs. Joe Frazier. Muhammad Ali vs. Joe Frazier wasn't just a rivalry. It was one of the greatest sagas in all of sports. What made it so special was that it went far beyond the ring. It started in the late 1960s when Ali was stripped of his titles for refusing the draft during the Vietnam War. During that time, Joe Frazier stepped up as the heavyweight champion, carrying the sport while Ali was sidelined. But when Ali returned, the collision course was inevitable. The first fight in 1971, dubbed the Fight of the Century, was the biggest boxing event the world had ever seen. Both men were undefeated, Ali at 29-0, Frazier at 26-0. Madison Square Garden shook as the two heavyweights went toe-to-toe. Ali had his moments, but Frazier sealed his legacy, dropping Ali with his iconic left hook in the 15th round and winning by unanimous decision. Frazier retained the WBC, WBA, and the ring titles, cementing himself as the man to beat. Ali wasn't finished, though. By 1974, the rematch was set. This time, Ali used movement, timing, and precision to outpoint Frazier, taking a unanimous decision and evening the score. It wasn't as explosive as the first fight, but it laid the foundation for the rubber match. Then came 1975, the legendary Thrilla in Manila. This was no ordinary fight. It was a war. For 14 brutal rounds, Ali and Frazier traded punishment like gladiators. Ali used his jab and reach early, but Frazier kept coming forward, closing distance and hammering Ali with relentless shots. By the championship rounds, both were nearly broken. Ali admitted later he was close to quitting after the 14th, but Frazier's corner stopped the fight, with both his eyes swollen shut. Ali declared it was the closest thing to dying he'd ever felt. Beyond the ring, their relationship was complicated. Ali's sharp tongue and charisma made him the people's champion, while Frazier's stoic toughness earned him his own loyal following. Their personal clashes, Ali often taunting and belittling Frazier, added intensity, but beneath it all, there was respect. The Ali-Frazier trilogy wasn't just about boxing. It was about two men who defined an era and each other. 2. Sugar Ray Robinson versus Jake LaMotta. When we talk about boxing rivalries, there are plenty that come to mind. You've got Leonard versus Duran, Pacquiao versus Marquez, Ali versus Frazier. But if we're being real, nothing quite matches the fire and bitterness of Sugar Ray Robinson versus Jake LaMotta. These two didn't just fight once or twice. They went to war 6 times in the 1940s and 50s, and every single fight added another layer to a rivalry that became legendary. Robinson, born Walker Smith Jr., wasn't just a fighter. He was poetry in motion. Reporters and fighters alike called him the best pound-for-pound boxer in history. Speed, skill, power, and style. He had it all. He was the slick guy everyone admired. LaMotta, on the other hand, was his perfect opposite. The Bronx Bull. Rough, relentless, and as tough as they come. He wasn't going to outdance Robinson. He wasn't going to outslick him. But he was going to walk through fire, take everything thrown at him, and keep coming forward. That's what made their rivalry so special. Two completely different worlds colliding in the ring. Their first fight came in 1942 at Madison Square Garden. Robinson was undefeated at 35-0, while LaMotta already had a few losses, but had built his reputation as one of the hardest men to beat. That night, Robinson's speed and combinations carried him to a unanimous decision, but LaMotta showed he wasn't going anywhere. Then came the rematch, February 1943, and this is where the rivalry truly caught fire. Robinson was winning, doing his thing, when LaMotta caught him with a vicious left hook. Robinson went down hard, and for the first time, the great Sugar Ray tasted defeat. LaMotta ended Robinson's insane 125-fight win streak that stretched back to his amateur days. Just like that, the perfect machine was human again. And Jake LaMotta would never let him forget it. Robinson bounced back fast, beating LaMotta just 3 weeks later. But the battles weren't done. 2 years later, they met again in New York, and Robinson survived a brutal knockdown before rallying to take the win on points. And then came the big one, the fight that went down in history, their 6th and final showdown in 1951, forever remembered as the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. This wasn't just a fight, it was a beating. Robinson put on a masterclass of precision, speed, and cruelty. LaMotta, true to his name, kept coming forward, absorbing shot after shot. His face was swelling, blood pouring, but he refused to quit. Finally, in the 13th round, the referee had no choice but to stop it. Robinson walked away with the middleweight title, and LaMotta, battered and broken, cemented his legend as the man who simply would not go down. Afterward, LaMotta famously joked, "I fought Sugar Ray so many times, it's a wonder I don't have diabetes." It was pure LaMotta, tough, funny, and brutally honest. The rivalry wasn't just about the fights. It was about who they were. Robinson, smooth yet invincible, the kind of fighter who seemed untouchable. LaMotta, the grinder, the street-tough brawler who represented grit and heart. They couldn't have been more different, yet together they gave boxing one of its greatest stories. And trust me, if you think that was intense, wait until you hear about the next rivalry. This one took drama, bad blood, and brutal exchanges to another level. Stick around, because it only gets better from here. Third Mike Tyson versus Evander Holyfield. In November 1986, a 20-year-old Mike Tyson demolished Trevor Berbick in just 2 rounds, becoming the youngest heavyweight champion in history. Tyson's rise was meteoric, soon adding the WBA and IBF belts and destroying Michael Spinks in 91 seconds to become the undisputed heavyweight king. Meanwhile, Evander Holyfield was carving out his own legacy at cruiserweight. After an epic war with Dwight Muhammad Qawi, Holyfield went on to unify the division, becoming its first undisputed champion before moving up to heavyweight. The stage seemed set for Tyson versus Holyfield, but boxing history had other plans. In 1990, Tyson's shocking loss to Buster Douglas derailed their meeting. Holyfield capitalized, defeating Douglas to become heavyweight champion. Tyson rebuilt with wins over Razor Ruddock, but his career was put on hold when he went to prison. While Tyson was gone, Holyfield defended against legends like George Foreman and had a legendary trilogy with Riddick Bowe. Still, fans believed Tyson remained the uncrowned king. When Tyson returned in 1995, he quickly reclaimed titles, setting up the long-awaited showdown with Holyfield in 1996. Tyson entered as the heavy favorite, but Holyfield shocked the world, withstanding Tyson's early power and breaking him down to score an 11th-round TKO. Their rematch in 1997 was even more infamous. Frustrated by Holyfield's control inside, Tyson bit Holyfield's ear not once, but twice, leading to a disqualification in one of the wildest nights in boxing history. The rivalry was years in the making, and though it came later than expected, it delivered unforgettable drama. Holyfield proved his greatness with 2 decisive wins, while Tyson's volatility cemented the saga as one of the most bizarre and iconic rivalries in heavyweight history. 4. Pacquiao versus Marquez. When people talk about the greatest rivalries in boxing, Pacquiao versus Marquez is always right at the top. These 2 legends fought 4 times, and every single fight was filled with drama, controversy, and unforgettable action. By the time we got to fight number 4 in December of 2012, fans were divided. Some thought it was unnecessary. 3 fights had already given us close and controversial results. But deep down, everyone knew the tension between Pacquiao and Marquez wasn't finished. Their first fight in 2004 was wild. Pacquiao dropped Marquez 3 times in the very first round, but somehow Marquez fought back and the fight ended in a draw. The second fight in 2008 saw Pacquiao win by a split decision, and the third, in 2011, went to Pacquiao again. But many thought Marquez had done enough to win. By then, Marquez felt robbed, and Pacquiao wanted a clear, decisive victory. Both men needed closure. The fourth fight delivered exactly that, and in the most shocking way possible. Early on, Pacquiao was aggressive, landing heavy shots, even knocking Marquez down in the 5th round. Marquez, though bloodied and hurt, kept looking for that one perfect punch, and in round 6, he found it. As Pacquiao lunged in, Marquez unleashed a devastating right hand that landed flush. Pacquiao was out cold before he even hit the canvas. It was one of the most brutal and iconic knockouts in boxing history. The win sent Mexico into celebration, with Marquez finally getting the closure he had chased for years. For Pacquiao, it was a heartbreaking defeat, but both men showed respect afterward. To this day, fans still argue, should there have been a 5th fight? Or was that knockout the perfect ending to one of the greatest rivalries boxing has ever seen? Israel Vazquez versus Rafael Marquez. When Israel Vazquez and Rafael Marquez first stepped into the ring in 2007, Fans didn't expect they were about to witness one of boxing's greatest rivalries. The first fight was brutal. Marquez broke Vazquez's nose so badly that the proud Mexican warrior couldn't breathe, forcing him to retire on his stool after 6 rounds. It was controversial, it was raw, and it set the tone for what was to come. Just 5 months later came the rematch, and what a turnaround! Vazquez, hungry for redemption, walked through hell to batter Marquez. In the 6th round, the referee jumped in to save Marquez from taking more punishment, handing Vazquez a dramatic TKO victory. Now the score was 1-1, and the rivalry was alive, burning hotter than ever. Then came March 1st, 2008, the legendary rubber match at the Home Depot Center. From the opening bell, the two traded leather like their lives depended on it. Marquez scored a knockdown in round 4, nearly seizing control, but Vazquez's heart wouldn't let him quit. Round after round, the momentum swung violently back and forth. By the 11th, Marquez's eye was swollen shut, while Vazquez was a bloody mess, cuts over both eyes. The 12th round, absolute chaos. Vazquez unleashed a furious assault, trapping Marquez against the ropes, earning a knockdown, and sealing one of the greatest finishes in modern boxing. After 12 punishing rounds, Vazquez edged out a split decision, retaining his WBC super bantamweight crown. 3 fights, 3 wars, and no true loser. Both men gave their blood, their pride, and their careers for this rivalry. The Vazquez-Marquez trilogy now sits alongside Ali Frazier, Barrera Morales, and Gatti Ward as one of the most iconic in boxing history. And after that 3rd fight, fans were already chanting for a 4th. Because when 2 warriors create magic like this, the story never really feels finished. 6. Erik Morales versus Marco Antonio Barrera. In the early 2000s, Mexico was split. You were either Team Morales or Team Barrera. There was no in-between. These two weren't just rivals. They were polar opposites in and out of the ring, and every time they fought, it felt personal. Erik Morales, known as El Terrible, was tall, fiery, and carried a brawling spirit from the tough streets of Tijuana. He loved a good war and never backed down from a shootout. Marco Antonio Barrera, the baby-faced assassin, was more measured. A brilliant technician from Mexico City with a chip on his shoulder and something to prove after early career setbacks. Their first meeting in 2000 was an instant classic. From the opening bell, it was non-stop action. Heavy exchanges, wicked body shots, and zero regard for defense. Morales edged out a razor-thin split decision, but fans and critics were divided. Some called it a robbery, others the fight of the year. Either way, it was clear this wasn't going to be a one-off. The rematch in 2002 was pure revenge. Barrera fought smarter, sharper, and more controlled, frustrating Morales and walking away with the unanimous decision. Now it was 1-1, and the heat between them had gone nuclear. But it was fight number 3 in 2004 that settled the score, at least on paper. Another brutal, fast-paced battle with wild swings and no shortage of drama. Both men dug deep in the late rounds, trading bombs as if their pride depended on it. And maybe it did. This time, Barrera got the nod, winning by majority decision and claiming bragging rights in one of Mexico's most emotional trilogies. After the fights, the animosity was still real. Both had said and done things that couldn't be unsaid. But years later, as age and time softened the edges, the respect grew. And when they were eventually photographed laughing side by side, fans realized something. Sometimes, hate forges the deepest kind of respect. Morales versus Barrera wasn't just about belts. It was about pride, identity, and the honor of Mexican boxing. And it gave fans 3 of the most thrilling, passionate fights the sport has ever seen. 7. Arturo Gatti versus Mickey Ward. Sometimes a rivalry doesn't need belts or hype, just 2 men who refuse to back down. That's what made Arturo Gatti versus Mickey Ward so special. It wasn't about trash talk or titles. It was about heart, pain, and mutual punishment. Their first fight in May 2002 was pure chaos. From round 1, Gatti and Ward went to war. But then came round 9, a round that belongs in the Hall of Fame. Ward crushed Gatti with a left hook to the body, and Gatti somehow stayed on his feet through a minute of pure hell. The crowd lost its mind. Ward won that night by majority decision, but no one really lost. They'd made history. The rematch came just months later. Gatti fought smarter, using his jab and movement, but it still turned into another slugfest. He walked away with a unanimous decision, and once again, both men earned standing ovations. Then came Fight 3, the finale. It was brutal, bloody, and beautiful. Gatti fought with a broken hand, Ward with busted ribs, but neither stepped back. After 10 rounds of carnage, Gatti won by decision, and the trilogy was complete. Afterward, the two men embraced, and something rare happened. They became best friends. Ward even gave the eulogy at Gatti's funeral years later. Their rivalry was one of violence, but also of deep, unspoken love and respect. Because sometimes, when you go through that much pain together, you become family. 8. Roberto Duran versus Sugar Ray Leonard. If Ali versus Frazier was a clash of giants, Duran versus Leonard was a battle between a street brawler and a golden boy. It had everything: style, ego, revenge, and one of the most infamous moments in boxing history. Their first fight in 1980 was electric. Duran, known as Hands of Stone, was hungry to humiliate the flashy, smiling Leonard. He bullied him, mocked him, and won a gritty, unanimous decision. Leonard had been outfought, and he hated it. He went into the rematch with one goal: embarrass Duran, and that's exactly what he did. Leonard danced, taunted, and made Duran look slow and frustrated. Then, in the 8th round, something shocking happened. Duran quit. He turned to the ref and said the two most infamous words in boxing: "No mais." It was stunning, and it became part of sports legend. They fought one more time in 1989, a respectful, tactical fight that Leonard won. But by then, the fire had cooled. What people remembered wasn't the rubber match. It was that first war and that unbelievable surrender. Duran versus Leonard wasn't just about fists. It was about pride and how quickly it can crack under pressure. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Which rivalry is your favorite? Let's keep the conversation going, because the best part of boxing is reliving these battles together.